beautiful minds. I want to thank you for joining me for another edition of the Think on These Things podcast, where I, Aaron, your host, as I always say, if it's pure, if it's of good report, if it's noble, I just want you to spend some time thinking about it. If you did not know, this go around, we are reading What to Say When You Speak to Yourself by Shad, Helmsetter, PhD. Now, this book will give you the tools necessary to create a positive speaking environment between the 6 inches of your ears. But before we start all of that, if this is your first time here, or if you're returning, I would love it if you slap that like button. Just go ahead and take this, just slap it right now. Slap it. Also, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. I have a goal of 100 subs before the summer, and I would love it if you were a part of that campaign. Also, if by the end of this video, if any of the information that you've seen is educational, inspirational, motivational, and just all around good stuff, I would love it if you shared it with a family member or friend, or maybe just someone who needs to have some positivity in their life. I would also like to personally invite you to sweat and meditate with me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. on my Facebook and Instagram pages. I get a chance to just share a little bit of positive love in the morning, and you get to see me at my sweatiest phase of the day. Getting into it, if you remember from our last video, we talked about the 5 pillars of self-management. Now, it goes all the way from programming all the way up to behaviors and helps you track along the way exactly why you do what you do. This go around, we're actually going to be talking about the 5 stages of self-talk. Now, this I love. I absolutely love this portion because I am all about actionable steps, taking real action to make real change. Now, what the author does here is he gives us the 5 stages we should immediately start practicing to help move ourselves in the right direction. He even gives us some keywords and ways and phrases and all this other kind of. Before I get ahead of myself, let's go ahead and jump in. Right, so kicking it off with the first stage. The first stage is negative acceptance. Now, a lot of us hopefully are not at this stage, but we've been at this stage in some point of our lives, in some area of our lives. Negative acceptance is taking on the personalization of this bad thing or this unhealthy thing is just a part of my life and I don't have a way of getting around it. The author tells us we can recognize it through phrases like, I can just never win, or I'm never on time for work, or this just won't work for me. A lot of these phrases we can see, especially in toddlers or young children, when they're having trouble getting their way and they're not sure why they can't move to another step or another level. A very important stage that if you're watching this video right now, I want you to cut out all of these kinds of statements. I can't, I never, I won't, I shouldn't. These are the things that are holding you back from moving forward in your vision. Remove them from your vocabulary immediately. Now, stage number 2. Now, the author characterizes this stage as the recognition that change needs to take place, right? It's usually characterized by things that start with I should, or it's in my best interest to, but they usually get separated by a but and a reason why that thing doesn't happen. For instance, I should lose weight, but I just don't have time to go to the gym, or but my genetics aren't there. The author also puts this in an unhealthy category, stating that if you know what should be done, then it should be done. But adding that little word but or maybe, it really pulls away from you being able to move forward in what it is you're trying to do. I want you to try taking the steps of removing the but portion when you find yourself recognizing that a change needs to be made. See, our minds are a very complex and intricate machine. If you say that there's something that should be done, then that thing will get done. However, if you say that it should be done, but you give your brain a reason to believe why it can't be done, it's going to go with the reason why it can't be done versus why it should be done. This is why it's so important to remove negative phrases from your vocabulary, because your brain picks up, unfortunately, more on the negative side of what you're trying to do than the positive. Okay, so stage number 3. Now, stage number 3 is where we get into real actionable steps about what we should be saying to ourselves as we move along these 5 stages. So stage number 3 is the decision to change. Now, this one is a little bit weird, but what I love about it is it uses the angle of cognitive dissonance. It's where our actions and our thoughts don't add up, and the brain recognizes these. So Decision to change is characterized by phrases like, I never do this specific action, or this isn't like me to take this specific action. I love this because the author actually has someone do something very weird. So he tells the person, if you want to quit smoking, as you're lighting up the cigarette, as you're taking a puff, as you're exhaling, I want you to say out loud, I never smoke. I don't carry lighters. I don't smoke cigarettes. Now, the author acknowledges that this is going to look weird to the people around us, to our family members and friends, but the concept of cognitive dissonance, used actually in a positive sense in this terminology, works absolutely perfectly, because here we're actually feeding our brains the opposite of the negative action that we're taking. So by telling yourself, I never smoke, I never take this negative action, I never say these things, you train your brain to work against those thoughts, to do those negative actions. I actually experimented this with myself this last week. It's been a very long week. But one of my commitments to myself is to always go to the gym, even when I don't necessarily feel like it. So every single day, I tell myself, I never miss a gym day. I never miss a chance to go to the gym and work out some stress. And thankfully, even in my not so enthusiastic times, it encouraged me to get into the gym and to take those healthy actions to keep my body in shape. You know, I think this is something that you can start doing immediately. What negative actions are you taking that you can tell yourself, that's not like you, and make some changes? You know, a famous example of this is actually the actor Jack Nicholson. He's an avid golfer, and there's a story that's out about him that says whenever he slices a shot or doesn't putt as well as he should, he doesn't get upset, doesn't throw his clubs, doesn't quit the game. He quietly says to himself, that's not like me. I don't slice shots. I don't miss putts. And what that allows him to do is stay focused on the positive, to make sure he doesn't allow those negative aspects to continue to seep into what he's trying to do. Okay, so stage number 4. Now, stage number 4 is one of my favorites here, because here we get to talk about affirmations. Now, affirmations are not magic words you say over yourself to make yourself do something. They're not voodoo language. Affirmations are a self-confirmation, almost like what we talked about with the decision to change, but actually a reminder of who we are and what we can do. You see, affirmations are basically what the author refers to as the better you, the you that confirms over yourself that you are positive, that you have good things going for you. One of the things I speak over myself all the time, even though I know it doesn't look like it, I'm a pretty quiet person, is that I am friendly and I have a lot of friends. Telling myself, reminding me that I am a friendly person, so that when I go out in the world, depending on when you're watching this, we're still having to wear masks, that I can still smile through my mask. I can still say hello, good morning, and not fall into the routine of walking past people and not being polite and not doing the very best I can to spread the love and joy that I know I have inside myself. The better you is the you that speaks the right things to yourself, that says, I am, I can, I will. These are the phrases you should be speaking to yourself when moving into the stage of the better you. All right, so stage number 5. Now, stage number 5 is what the author refers to as the combination of a spiritual belief and your talk to yourself. Now, if you don't necessarily have one, or maybe that's just not your thing, this one may not be something you're interested in. But if you are trying to form a relationship with God or just resonate on a higher level, this is the stage where you combine your positive talk to yourself with the character of a higher being. For myself, you may know I'm a Christian, right? And so my affirmations over myself aren't just, Aaron, you can do it. They're, Aaron, you can because God is. Or you have this ability because God has given you this ability. You see, the author talks about being able to affirm what your higher being and what that higher power is saying with what you're saying to yourself. This really creates a cyclical, almost super positive environment between your ears, because you're not just repeating to yourself what you believe, but what your God believes about you as well. I I encourage you that if you have a relationship with God, or if you have a personal belief, start combining your own personal powerful affirmations with the words of your higher being or your higher power. It's important because now you start moving into the realm of I can do anything that my God is telling me that I can do. I can move through life in a very positive and forward-thinking area. Me personally, I take my vision for myself very importantly, but I understand that my vision cannot be accomplished without God at my side and in front of me and behind me and over me in every which way I can think of. It's important for me to not just say, Aaron, you can do it, but to say, Aaron, you can do it because God. That helps me out on a daily basis. And that is the 5 stages of self-talk. Now, here is the most important thing I can give you about all 5 of these stages. Start now, like right now, like now. Well, after the video, but now. Listen, it is so important that you start talking to yourself positively now, that you recognize which stage you're in and start moving towards the area of getting to that higher self, whether it's stage 5 or stage 4, so that you can create that positive environment between your ears. It's so important that we have that because, as we talked about before, our programming initiates our behaviors. And if you want a more positive behavior, you're going to have to start moving through the stages of talking to yourself more positively. But that is it from me this week, you beautiful minds. Hey, again, if you have not already, slap that like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I have a big goal of 100 subs by the summer, and I would love it if you were a part of that campaign. Also, join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Sweating and Meditating on my Instagram and Facebook pages. I would love to see you there and just share some positivity with you. Outside of that, guys, as I always say, if it's noble, if it's a good report, if it's positive, I just want you to spend some time thinking on it.